On this episode of Tamarindo, we chat with Eden and Jay, founders of Preciosa Night, a beloved Los Angeles space rooted in queer and Latine joy, visibility, and building intentional community.
Welcome to Tamarindo Podcast, hosted by me, Brenda Gonzalez, a fitness coach, political nerd, and nonprofit capacity builder.
And me, Delcy Sandoval, a Guatemalan-American licensed therapist and passionate creativity advocate. Together, we're here to uplift our community through powerful conversations with changemakers, creatives, and healers.
Each week on the pod, we talk politics, culture, and personal development. Listeners call Tamarindo the Advocacy and Self-Love Podcast. Vámonos! Let's start the show.
Hello, Tamarindo listeners. Hola, Brenda. How we doing?
Good. Happy to be here as always.
Yeah, let's get a temperature check. How's this week been going? There's a lot that happened this week. A big event that took place that we're recording after the fact. ¿Cómo te fue?
Well, good. I think we could just jump right in. And I know this is something that already happened, but so many people continue to talk about it. I think we're all still sort of riding this high. So what is it? What is it that's top of mind for everyone?
It's the halftime show, everybody, the Bad Bunny-led halftime show. And I just wanted to react to this because I watched this with my entire family, all kinds of generations of people, from the youngest person being 6 months old to, people in their 70s. We all gathered around in this big group and watched this halftime show. Nobody really cared about football, I'm not going to lie, but they watched the show. And there were so many emotions, so many reactions. When they said Guatemala at the end, we never get a shout out. I just want to say we never get a shout out. And every time some people start shouting out countries, I'm there and I'm waiting to hear it. And I never hear Guate. But when he said it, my whole family erupted in screaming and clapping. People were emotional. It was amazing. ¿Qué pensaste tú, Brenda?
Yes, exactly. What a joy, right? The entire time. I just rewatched it in anticipation for this conversation. And yes, it was so joyful. So the same, like I needed to find a way to watch this without supporting the NFL as much as I could, but also I didn't want to be at a venue, but I wanted to just be with folks. So we got together with Jeff's cousins. None of us are into sports, so we were watching literally the Olympics and then coming back to, is the halftime show on yet? And then we watched it. And yes, the whole time we were glued. Of course, I'm the only one that speaks Spanish, but even these people that didn't speak Spanish, we were all so excited and so electrified by the performance and just the positivity, right? At the end, this was a way to celebrate our community, celebrate all of what makes the Americas, and really just, it just ends up being so absurd that the country is treating Latinos like garbage when we are such colorful, vibrant, beautiful people, as this show demonstrated. It really kind of puts those two visions side by side, and it's like, really, like you hate us even though we're so amazing. That's kind of the feeling that I had. But yes, of course, the time where he's listing all the countries, super exciting. But I would say the time that I screamed, because this happened before in the show, when I screamed, was when he goes to Villa's Tacos. So this is a taqueria in Highland Park that has been blowing up lately. There's been so many new locations blossoming. And I first learned about these tacos. There was a show on Netflix several years ago about street tacos in LA and Southern California. And this person from Villa's Tacos was selling these, what he calls Los Angeles style tacos, because it's his own little spin on tacos, out of the patio of his grandma's house. And now he's blown up where there's literally, I think, 5 or 6 different locations in like the hippest parts of LA, including Grand Central Market. And it was such a nod to Los Angeles and such a nod to taqueros and such a nod to the people. You imagine the abandoned taco carts, that is something that's happening across this country. So that's the moment where I really felt seen, right? was going, oh my
Yes.
God, and recognizing that. And the other thing too is that secretly in my mind, I had been observing that VS Tacos was blowing up and growing in different locations. And I hadn't at the time, I had not seen them be very vocal about what's going on, about the ICE raids. And I had felt a little bit of suspicion because I was like, this place is blowing up, but what are they doing about it, right? This is the suspicion that I have about everything right now. It's like not enough to be Latino. It's like, what are you doing? Are you actually raising money? Are you actually standing up for people? And this made me realize, okay, maybe they are about it, because right after
Yeah.
it went public, VS Tacos did post like his personal story about how he's, the grandson of immigrants and like the sacrifice of his parents, the thing that we all connect to. So it made me feel a little bit more hopeful that as they're growing, they're also doing things for the community. And I did scroll a little deeper into the scroll, and I did see that they have done some stuff to stand up for the community. I'd like to see more, especially since they have this huge platform. But that was a moment that felt super electric and super proud to be an Angelino. So.
Oh, yes. And also that they had, the mariachi, the all women mariachi. I really appreciated those little moments. Like aside from the tacos, there was also, the nail salon, for example, right? And then he takes you to Washington Heights and you get to be in the vibe with los Dominicanos and Puerto Ricanos and centered, all of these spaces that feel very New York City. So I thought there was a lot of representation that was happening. And I like how you started by saying that it was joyful because it really felt like a celebration that centered identity and centered culture, where a lot of times culture ends up being kind of like a side note, a backdrop, a little moment in the show. This was like a show about culture. That's what it was. It was centered. And I just thought it was so spectacular. I'm surprised you haven't mentioned Señor Pascal
Oh
hanging
yeah,
out.
I mean, there's so many things. I'm talking about the moment I jumped on the screen. I would say that was another moment. I was like, Pedro, ah! I recognized Jessica Alba first, and rewatching it right now, you could tell that Pedro kind of missed his cue to be dancing when the camera comes around because he's like, oh yeah, I gotta dance. And of course, right? America's sweetheart is Pedro Pascal. So I love that. And that's also a comment. Like, look at, like, there's so many people that are so well loved universally and that have stood up for the community. And Pedro is one of them. So yeah, it was really great to see that. A couple other little nuggets that I learned a little after. One is that the couple that got married, I believe that it's a real wedding, one. But the other thing is that the gentleman was, he's alumni of Cal State Fullerton, which is where I went to school. And then the woman is Salvadoreña. So that's nice to see like a little more, broad representation of different types of Latino experiences, Latina experiences. So that was really, really cool. It's just wonderful. And I love that you mentioned like the bodega part, or like the part that made you feel like you're in New York as someone that's actually spent many years there. That's wonderful and electrifying. It also reminded me of the way I felt when I watched In the Heights, the Lin-Manuel Miranda's movie. I never saw the actual play, but I saw the movie. And in the theaters, there's that beautiful scene where they're dancing in an alleyway and all the flags of Latin America are around. And it felt so wonderful to see that scene. And I kind of had those same feelings seeing that replicated in this halftime show. So that was also really nice.
Yes. Little tidbit. I walked through that set when I didn't know what was happening. And I walked through the set and there were all these vintage cars and all these colors. And I was like, what's going on? And then later when I watched the movie, I was like, that's what I walked through. I was there.
That's so cool. How exciting.
But yeah, honestly, awesome. Totally delivered. Beautiful. What a moment for us. We really, 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 I feel like people needed to be reminded that we shine so bright, and then there's so much to be proud of here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, moving the conversation along, we've been talking about little things here and there, Brenda, that bring us joy. I know we talked last week a little bit about some things that maybe are a little bit of guilty pleasures. I'd like to hear from you this week about these little joys, the things we're calling petty joys, right? One way that we survive the heaviness of the world is kind of leaning into these small joys, things that feel like they're bigger than maybe they should be. So I'd like to start and kind of share with you what has been a joy for me lately. And people who listen to the show know this about me, so it might be a repeat, but I feel so strongly about it, especially lately, is doing things alone. I can't say enough how hard it is for me to get alone time with the amount of responsibilities, connections, I'm lucky in that way that there are people in my life. But I do really, really need to be alone. And so lately, I've been doing whatever I can to find moments where I'm completely by myself, even if it just means being in my car with the windows up for a moment. And one of the things I did for myself is I buy concert tickets every now and then to go by myself to a show.
Hmm.
And it's my favorite thing in the world. I just imagine sitting there watching Missy Elliott by yourself. It's the best thing that's ever happened to the world. And and Brandy Carlisle is a massive crush of mine. And she's coming to town and I bought myself a ticket. I'm going, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to watch her and I'm going to swoon.
I love it.
And then, and that's what brings me joy is really reconnecting with myself completely alone without having to say a word and just live in my mind for a while. I just enjoy that so much. Y tú, Brenda, tell me a little bit about your current petty joy.
Yeah, well, before we move on to me, I have a couple questions. What
Oh,
would you
yeah.
say are like your two or three tips for how to enjoy a concert by yourself?
Get a good seat. Start there.
Mm.
So that I think, a lot of us, we remember what it was like to be in our really young days and get like the cheapest seat in the house, sit all the way in the back. And that's still a good time. That's still fun. And I'm still doing that in baseball. But when you're going alone, you really want to sit in a good spot. You want to go, you want to get yourself your best drink. You want to dress up, not for your friends, not to look cool, not for the attention, not to talk to anyone. You want to dress up for yourself. So you feel like $1 million walking in there. Wear that ridiculous coat that you bought that you're never going to wear. Wear the blue fur that looks crazy. Wear it all. Get over there, get your drink, sit down, and just fully let yourself sing all the songs like an embarrassing moment, in front of your friends maybe, but there's no one there. So it's like you're in your car by yourself. It's the best. Those are my tips.
Yeah, that sounds like really joyful and fun. Do you ever make friends when you go there?
All the time.
Mm.
All the time. When people notice you're alone, especially, I've been invited to like special areas, like VIP areas. One time I didn't make it to my seat because people are like, "Are you by yourself? What's happening? Like, get in here and hang out with us." Which is also fun when it happens.
Yeah, that does sound really joyful. Okay, so my petty joy. I mean, I was trying to think about what is something that I really enjoy that like I feel like my appreciation for it is oversized for what it is. But I think it's truly my walk and talks, and especially with my friend Evelyn, who Evelyn and I mean, I feel like we get together 2, 3, sometimes 4 times a week. And it's always just to go on a walk and just talk. And it's so funny because like, I don't even know what we tell each other because it's like, what could have happened in 2 days? Sometimes we'll like update each other on the shows we're watching, the books we're reading. It's just interesting. She's a great storyteller. So most of the time I'm listening to her, which is super fun, which leaves the pressure off me to have to come up with stories because she's got plenty. So I really appreciate meeting with a friend versus meeting with a friend for a walk versus like happy hour versus all kinds of things. And here's the reasons. Number one, you get to be comfortable because you have to wear comfortable clothes to go on a walk. Number two, it's free. You don't spend any
That's
money.
my favorite price.
Yeah. Number three, it's always good to get some steps in, to get some movement into your body. You always feel so much better afterwards. So there's like beneficial outcomes to moving your body. So you get to do this and you still get to catch up with your friends. So I just think that if you all could think about meeting with a friend instead of happy hour, instead of figuring out a place to eat dinner, instead of having to put your face on, makeup, see if you could just meet for a walk. It's great. Also, the commitment doesn't have to be all that long, especially if you like, there's certain places that we go to regularly, so we know how long it takes. So
Yeah.
just like you all figure out what those routes are and who's willing to go with you. And you'll be surprised because like this, there's another new emerging friendship that I have where actually our thing is that we met at Villa's Tacos. Like we'd be like, oh, you want to go get Villa's Tacos? Okay. So we were doing that pretty consistently, meeting at Villa's Tacos. But the last time I just threw out the idea, hey, what do you think about walking at the State Historic Park? She's like, oh my gosh, yes. And so that was great because we didn't spend any money. We still got to do it. So you'll be surprised how people are actually receptive to this refreshed idea of a meetup.
Yes, I love that. And feel like what we're saying has the same root, which is kind of a low pressure way to fill your cup, right? Because it feels like everything can be so high stakes. So high stakes. How did you and Evelyn figure out that this was the best way? Did you guys used to do other things?
Well, yes, I would say, oh my gosh, Evelyn and I have been friends for many years, like a couple of decades, pretty much. And there was a time when I think you and I even talked about this at some point, thinking about things we used to do that we don't do as much anymore. And it was happy hours. Like we would do happy hours all the time. So like pre-pandemic, and maybe a few years before that, there was a group of us that lived and worked in downtown or close to downtown. We had to wear, suits or whatever. And then afterwards, it was very easy to meet up for happy hour and for drinks. And so we did a lot of that. And I would say in the last 5 years after that, both Evelyn and I, in different times, sort of had health kicks, started to really think about eating a little bit better, incorporating a little bit more movement. And I think it stems from that, especially Evelyn. She's very motivated to hit her steps. So she's like, I don't even care who you are. If you invite me for a walk, I'm going to meet you. So that I think really has helped a lot, is that we value movement a lot more than we used to. Movement is necessary to just keep your joints agile, to keep moving. So I think that's really what it's been. It's that the value of movement has surfaced higher than it was in the past.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I just want to say that one of my favorite memories is going for a walk with you and Evelyn in Mexico City.
Yes, we just kept going and going and going.
All right. So thank you so much. I love that. I want to hear from the listeners. If you have a petty joy, send it over to us. We want to hear about it. And now we're transitioning to this incredible interview, Brenda, that we have been trying to have for a while. This conversation is with Eden and Jay, founders of Preciosa Night. You all are going to hear about this. Maybe you've been there before. It is a space that celebrates queer, creative, Latine community in LA, but also apparently across the world at this point. So really exciting. Hope that you guys enjoy it. Here it is.
Brenda here from Tamarindo, and I want to personally invite you to join me for our third annual Encuentro, a restorative retreat to Puebla, Mexico, April 30th through May 4th. This is an incredible experience for badass mujeres who need a break. Immerse yourself in Puebla's cultural attractions, build community, and leave recharged with tools to thrive. Perfect if you're seeking renewal and intentional connection in a supportive and uplifting space. The dates are April 30th through May 4th in Puebla, just a couple hours away from Mexico City. Space is extremely limited. We're looking for 8 travelers. And if you bring a friend, you each can save $400. Go to tamarindopodcast.com and find Encuentro from the menu. Once again, that's tamarindopodcast.com and search Encuentro.
All right. It is my pleasure to welcome Eden and Jay to Tamarindo. Hey, y'all. How you doing?
We're good. How are you doing, Dulcie?
I'm doing good. I'm so excited to have you guys here. We've been talking about having you on for a while. I'm glad we were able to make it. I'd like you to start off by having you all kind of introduce yourselves to folks who maybe haven't heard of you before or who would like to get to know you a little bit better. Who are you? What do you do? And how did this come together?
So I'm Eden, half of Eden and Jay. And for those of you who are new here, we have put our love and life out to the world for going on like 6 years now. It kind of started in the pandemic, and it really came from a place of we didn't see healthy representation of what good communication, unlearning triggers and traumas, just like healthy relationships in general within the Latin Latina community. And I don't know, like a shot in the dark. We're like, well, why don't we put out there what we've learned in couples therapy, what we've learned through therapy, what we've personally learned on, bettering ourselves in our relationship. And surprise, surprise, it took off like wildfire. And now we're here still sharing our life. Our life has changed and evolved quite a bit. And even, we had a baby, but we also had a business baby before our actual baby was born called Preciosa Night. That is just like rooted in community. And Jay can speak more to our first baby.
Truly, I think you nailed it. Yeah, I think when we first started dating, we didn't see enough representation of like healthy queer love out there. It was always kind of rooted in the stereotypes of like cheating or lying or being loud or like all these things that we just aren't. And so I think, yeah, we kind of just put out our love and in hopes of finding our community. And that's exactly what happened when it came to Preciosa Night, which is our first baby. And I am, born and raised in LA. I felt like within the queer community, it was really hard to find safe space at the clubs that sounded like us or looked like us, and it was really hard to find that within like the Sapphic community. So I just said, you know what, I'm just going to create it, and if no one comes, that's fine. But this is the music that I want to listen to. This is the vibe that I want to feel, and it was essentially like a queer carne asada. That's what I wanted it to feel like. And it's been blowing up. So yeah, that's our other baby, and we've been taking it on the road across the U.S. And it's been super successful.
Well, we've gone outside the US
Took it to Mexico.
Wow.
So,
Yeah, we're all
we'll see.
enjoying that queer carne asada on this end. You know what's interesting is there's so much to talk about with you all because you're doing so many things and that are touching so many people's lives. I want to talk about parenthood. I want to talk about Preciosa Night. There's so much here, but I'd like to start off with just what you just mentioned, this idea of putting your life out there for everybody to see, for everybody to be a part of. What do you think, aside from the community creation, has been the most impactful for you all in your relationship as you're doing this, as you're putting your lives out there and inviting people in?
I would say the most impactful is really just we did this because we really wanted to see someone who looked like us. And I came out later in life. I came out in college, and I grew up in Northern California in a area in town where it's like very agricultural, very straight, cis, and all of those things. And I never saw what a queer Latin person could look like. So some of you may have had the same experience, but when we watched like the L Word, and there's this character on there, Carmen, who was a Latina, but not only is she Latina, she's like a femme Latina. And I was like, wait, you could be gay and you could be girly pop and you could be a Latina, and I could do that. Like I needed to see it before I even allowed myself to have that permission to be that. And I think the most rewarding is like, we hope that we give other people that permission to be yourself, that you could look and sound and you can be proud. You don't have to choose between the worlds, right? The queer world and your culture and your community. Like, if they don't love you or accept you, there are people out here, us included, that will. And so everything has been rooted in creating that space, like that safety net to catch people in case they do come out and nobody in their own, personal circle is there to catch them, at least like we are. And we hope that, sharing a little slice of our life, and our life has changed so much since the beginning until till now. And just knowing that it's possible, like even for us, when we went through our IVF journey, we didn't see a queer Latin couple that looked like us. When we decided to get married, we Googled like queer wedding, lesbian wedding in like Oaxaca, and zero Pinterest examples. And it's like we weren't planning on being the first in a lot of these spaces, but we just definitely wanted to make sure that we weren't the last, and that people know that things like this are possible.
Wow. And this community that you've created, it's not just a community that's online. You're also bringing this community IRL to all of these cities around the world. Let's talk about this. It feels a lot more, it feels like a lot more than an event. It really is a community space. Tell us a little bit about what people can expect, folks that aren't familiar with Preciosa Night. And then tell us a little bit about what it's been like to do this together as a couple.
Yeah, so I think our main brackets when it comes to Preciosa Night is it's a queer perreo. It's community and culture at the forefront. So that means you're gonna hear the quinceañera bangers, you're gonna hear the throwbacks, the los bookies with the cumbias and the bad bunnies, because that's what we grew up in. The cleaning music is very important to us in the club. And so it's just that. It's like making you feel like you're with family, because a lot of us that are out have lost that. Like for myself, I am no contact with my family, and I've been no contact for 6+ years. So for me, it's super important to still feel like my Latinidad is still there, regardless of my queerness. And so that's what Preciosa Night is. It's like a space where you can be queer and you can be yourself and you can be religious if that's who you are, but there's no judgment between these walls, kind of like a blend of all the worlds that make us who we are. And that's kind of what it is in a nutshell. And I think that's why people gravitate to it. And there's a lot of like female DJs that we highlight. There's musical acts that we bring in. As a matter of fact, our next one has an all-female mariachi band that's going to serenade everybody because it's Valentine's. Why wouldn't we serenade our people? So yeah.
And I think the representation expanded with us in a different way for the sapphic scene. When we were, going out and trying to figure out, where do we fit in this world when we're trying to find our community. And we didn't feel as like accepted or welcome to a lot of these like lesbian events. And our best friends are like trans, and our best friends are gay and queer. And when we really thought about what do we want this space to be and feel like, we couldn't imagine a world where we're gonna have this event but you're not allowed to come. So for us, Preciosa, yes, it is created by like queer women, but at the end of the day, like our community as a whole is welcomed to enjoy in this safe space that we have built for everybody. um, Gay, non-binary, trans, and all the above. And even when it comes to like picking DJs and picking performers and picking musicians, like we really, like Jay's so good at like scouring the internet for people who may not often get the eyeballs and the representation that they truly deserve. And we're really honored to be able to like see this space grow as much as we have. And I feel like even though we're about to go into year 4 this year, it just feels like sky's the limit. And as we change, so does Preciosa, and it's just exciting.
Yeah, and to the second part of that question, what is it like working with your partner? I think it's got a lot of highs and lows. I think that we both are strong in different sectors, right? Like I'm a super creative person, so I'm all about like the music, the artistry behind it, what is the experience of it all, while Eden is more of like logistics. And like I'm a Pisces and she's a Gemini, so I constantly live in the clouds because I'm like, let's do this, and she's like, yeah,
Let's reel it in.
that's kind of crazy, we're gonna need so many permits and like so many things. And which is a nice blend, but it is. I would be lying if I said it doesn't. It's a lot of work,
Yeah.
and sometimes it does stress us out because we're also married, but we're also business partners, and we're also trying to build this community and keep this community going. So it's a lot of pressure on us, I think, sometimes.
Yeah, and then thank you for that work. It's much appreciated, especially here in the LA area. I want to talk about this in depth a little bit because I think one of the beautiful things about creating something like this is that you put yourself out there, you do all of this work, and then there's this other piece that is uncertain, which is the reaction from the community, right? Tell us about the people who come to Preciosa. Tell us about your community. What makes them so special? What has it meant to you?
Well, it's crazy because like different locations have different kinds of preciosas. So like our New York preciosas are so different than our Chicago ones, which are so different than our Bay Area ones, which are all different than LA. And so it really depends on the location too. That the preciosas are so different. But what I think feels consistent is that they ride really, really hard for us. And I think the ones that do, they see it, they're like, man, they're tired. I'm sure. Like they're here and they're traveling and they're moms, and they also are, married and have, jobs and all that stuff, but they still like the ones that see it, I think for us, just make it all worth it because it is hard and it is a lot. And when we, get to meet our preciosas IRL and just hear their stories, I think for us is the biggest impact. Like you were just told
I think that
yesterday.
literally we had the Bad Bunny Super Bowl Preciosa, and I didn't really expect much. I didn't know the girly pops like to watch football. That was like blew my mind.
So last minute
Because I've never thrown like a day thing, where it's just like a viewing. Obviously, we were there for Benito Bowl, but it was so beautiful to see so many people, so many women, queer Latinas, and just women in general coming through and being in safe space. But one woman came up to me and she's like, I just have to tell you, like, what you're doing is so beautiful. And the fact that you got over 500 women to come collectively hang out all day and we all got to sing his songs and just be within our community is so powerful. And she like looked at me, she's like, I know you're tired. Like, I know this was hard. And I just want you to know it doesn't go unnoticed. Like and then she started crying and I started crying and I was just like, oh my God, it's so emotional. But she really, she saw it and she sees it. And she's like, I'm going to continue to support and come to as many as I can because I don't want this to go away.
Like even taking for example, like we've never spent a Valentine's Day away from each other, and now that we have a baby, like only one of us can go to be in Preciosa. Like I will, help out behind the scenes and stuff, but ultimately, like we have to make a choice. And for Valentine's, we're not gonna. This is like our first Valentine's that we're not spending it together, and it's that dedication that we have for our community. Like we we know that this is so important and oftentimes it's so much bigger than us. So we are willing to make the sacrifice, but we know it doesn't go unnoticed to people like her and to other preciosas when they go to this event because they don't have a place to go and they don't have a place to celebrate. And it means the world to, hear that we are making a difference.
And there are a lot of people that have come up to us and have said like, hey, like I don't think you know this, but I'm closeted outside these four walls, and I get to be in community, be proud of my culture within like the 5 hour span, but then I have to go back to my reality, and this is like my escape. That has been said multiple times to us at our events. And I think that's what drives us to continue to do them, as tired as we are, as exhausted as we are, because we know it's needed. Like this is their home.
Yeah, we wish we had something like this when we were figuring it out. So,
oh man, I feel almost emotional thinking about what you mentioned earlier, Jay, talking about your family and then the need for so many people to feel like they're in family in these moments that are and in a cultural framework, right? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about building family. Let's talk about building your own family. That transition, yes. What has that been like? Congratulations on the new baby.
So much.
How has parenthood sort of shifted the way that you move through the world?
Well, it's shifting right now.
Yeah, family. He just woke up, so I'm gonna go get him.
I'm gonna use this time to also turn off my notifications. It's like stop bugging me. Perfect timing. I heard the wiggles.
They knew we were talking about them.
Yeah, he's like, that's my cue. You had enough time without me. Yeah, but it's crazy because he went down for a nap and then now he's like went down for another one. We're like, okay, buddy, like I'll take it.
Growth spurt.
He's feeling sleepy. Oh, he's so big.
How old is he now?
He is 8 months and 25 pounds.
Oh my God. Hi, baby. Hi, Papa.
Dile hola.
Hola, Papa. Hola. Oh, so sweet.
I got you.
What's your name?
My name is Jaden Quetzal.
So beautiful. Oh, wonderful. Yeah. That's awesome. Yes. I'm Guatemalan, so Quetzal, big deal for us.
That's exactly why. I'm also half Guatemalan, so nice. That's exactly why.
Yay. I think people always assume because I'm Mexican that Jay is also Mexican, but she's not.
Yeah, well, good to know. And welcome to the show. So this is a beautiful topic. I just had my first child 6 months ago. So I have a son as well, and I'm learning to navigate life, creativity, social dynamic, sense of self, identity. I mean, talk about blowing up your whole world and starting from scratch in the most magical, wonderful, crazy way. Let's talk about that. How has becoming a parent kind of shifted the way you move through the world?
It has shifted a lot. I think there were things that I didn't pay attention to before I became a mom, and now I'm just like at a 10 always when it comes to like his safety or how he learns things or what, how we act in front of him, or am I going to raise like, a respectful man in this world, which we need more of. And so like it's just a lot of responsibility, I think. And I don't know, there are some days where I'm just like, I feel definitely overwhelmed as a first time mom.
I feel like that on top of the sleep deprivation.
Yeah.
Like the sleep deprivation is no joke. Like it messes with your head a little bit. And somebody gave us some like crazy advice. They're like, as soon as you have a kid, you're gonna lose a lot of friends and people in your life. And we thought that wasn't a thing. And it's very true. I think that was one of the most impactful changes too. It's like as you become a new mom, you're very careful of who you let into your circle, and then all of a sudden, I think your eyes become a little bit more open, and you shift overnight, and you change. And other people who aren't changing, all of a sudden, just the dynamic doesn't feel the same anymore. Like friends, family, and all the above. So it was, I think, how quickly you grow when you become a new mom, in ways that you've never even expected. Aside from like the changing and the schedule and the lack of sleep, you're like, whoa, like as a whole, inside and out, like a lot. It's like everyone's going through a growth spurt together.
Yeah, and everybody's relearning all of the things as he learns to talk and walk, and you're also relearning some of those things, the way that you move through the world in this new kind of role. Let's talk about the values here, because you're bringing up values, and I think that's really interesting. What values that you have developed as a couple are you hoping to pass on to your son?
I think the most wild part about this whole experience is that we don't have our moms like with us. Like Jay's,
I'm no contact, and Eden lost her mom to cancer right before we met. So we both have kind of been in this motherhood without the support or guidance or help from our mother. So it's been a lot of us leaning on each other and relearning, unlearning, a lot of unlearning for sure.
and I think we, as hard and complicated as it was in the beginning, of navigating motherhood by ourselves, like together in this way without a mother figure involved, and two different reasons. Like one is by choice, and obviously one didn't have a choice to not be here. So I think we had a moment to reflect back, and we were like, you know what, this is our clean slate. Like his life and his world will be 100% us and what we want it to be. And so we were really, really thoughtful of what type of, if we can only control so much. Like what type of person do we want, Jaden to grow up into this world to be, and start our own traditions and start our own teachings without, having any outside things passed down to us. Like we obviously keep some of the things that we had chosen between our own families that we wanted to keep, but a lot of it where we started new. And one of the things that we advocate for a lot is communication. I think within our culture and within our community, like we are so quick to sweep things under the rug and to not talk about feelings and emotions, and to really sit with it and to make mistakes. I think that was also another key one where we're like, we're going to encourage making mistakes, and I don't want him to ever feel like scared to make a mistake. And mistakes are good things because you're growing, and we're starting now this like new way of growing up. Like he won't have a childhood that we had, and we're hoping like in the best possible way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious what you hope that your child and children in general are going to learn about the world that you're creating with Eden and Jay, about Preciosa Night and the things that you're going to undoubtedly create next.
Yeah, no, I think it's funny that you bring that up because I mean, up until last month, he has been coming to all the Preciosas. He takes his naps in the back. He falls asleep on the chairs to the music blasting. Like, he's very much a Latino in that way.
He travels
He travels a lot. And it's our world, so it's part of his world. And I just hope that he's like just gentle and kind and stands up for all the things that we believe in, which I know he will. And we just need stronger and nicer men out in the world, honestly.
I think someone asked the question like why would you have a baby in this current climate? And I feel like we even struggled with that a lot at a certain point, when I think what it came down to was like the world doesn't get better unless better people are made. So we're, putting the best versions of ourselves out there and just like hoping like he's allowed to be whoever he wants to be in the world. But if we can do like one thing right, it's we fix ourselves first to be the happiest and best version of ourselves. So hopefully we can show up in that kind of a way for our son, and then he can just continuously keep passing down, hopefully that.
And just to close up, I'd love to hear from any advice that you have for people who are listening, thinking about building their own authentic spaces, their own families, their own communities, following suit. What would you say to somebody who's interested in that?
I feel like a lot of people have a lot of opinions. A lot of people are going to tell you what to do, how to think, what's right and what's wrong. And I feel like we've only gotten this far. It's because we listened to ourselves. We did what was right. Even with Preciosa, when we were floating the idea around, so many people told us not to name it that. They're like, "Mama." They said, "Don't call it Preciosa. Don't make it a Spanish word. Like, people can't pronounce it. You're gonna pigeonhole yourself." And imagine if we listen. Imagine if we like Jade, how do we listen to you? Sorry, he's got some grumblies happening. And I feel like that is just like one example too. And then people telling us that IVF is too expensive and it's too hard. And I think people are always going to give you a reason not to, but hold on to your reason why. And just keep going for it. Like, don't give up. Like, you're going to make mistakes. Things are going to fall through. Like, and don't be afraid to change. Don't be afraid of the growth spurt. What do you think? What's your advice?
Yeah.
What's your life?
Well, thank
Yeah,
you
you really
guys.
had to work to get here. It's crazy because, like, we really, I think out of anything we want to leave him with, it's like the confidence, right? Because you're going to have 2 gay moms already. I'm sure that's already going to be enough to talk about. So you just gotta, raise them strong.
Yeah, I think you said it perfectly. I think that it's hard. I think that unlearning things, and especially in the Latino community, like not going against the grain is very hard to do, because we're
Mafia
told
style.
our entire lives that we have to do something a certain way. So I think once you get past that thought process, it becomes super easy.
Thank you both so much. Well, the 3 of you, thank you so much for being on the show. Such a pleasure. And we're back. I hope that you enjoyed that interview, Brenda. I really enjoyed talking to Eden and Jay. It was interesting because I just had a child. They just had a child as well. And actually, their little boy made it onto the show. Like, he woke up in the middle of our interview and he joined us. And there was just so much there around like talking about family and chosen family and their situation where neither of them have their moms around to support them through this. And so they're really learning how to be moms in their own way. I found that really inspiring. And then they're spreading not just Preciosa Night, but kind of the idea behind Preciosa Night across the country. That Jay is in New York as we speak, making this happen, which is amazing. And I really think that they're going to be friends of Tamarindo for a while.
Yes. Well, one day we will make it out to Preciosa Night.
Yeah, I would love that. Okay, let's talk about matracas. What are we feeling? What's your matraca for this week, Brenda?
It's low stakes, but I really appreciate dimmers. I really appreciate being able to dim the light, gradually, high and low versus like bright to not bright. I appreciate dimmers. It's one of the things that Jeff installed in our living room very early on. Actually, first he did something, and I hated that. First, he did this thing where they would be like, you could do different colors, and it was just like, we don't need all that. So he switched it to just regular dimmers. And every time that I get to dim the light to the precise shade that I want it, I'm so grateful for it. I'm so grateful for dimmers. So that's what gets my matraca.
I love the reduction of stimulation for everybody out there. For me, my matraca this week goes to these businesses that really take a leap of faith on certain neighborhoods. Like there are not that there's an let me just rephrase that. It's not the neighborhood, it's the street, right? So a lot of times there are these streets where there's nothing there. There's literally nothing going on that street. And then a business will emerge and it just creates a vibe, a community space. All of a sudden people are gathering. It's a good time. And then when you leave it, you're like, wait, I'm still here in this industrial zone, And so places, there's a place that comes to mind, Mike's Cafe, that's in the San Fernando Valley, for example. It's a residential neighborhood. There's a lot of like hair salons and como se dice, the like tire sales places, things like that in the area. And then there's this place and you walk in and it is pink in there and there's like the music is popping and it is a whole vibe and everyone's in there in the middle of the day living their best lives. And I'm like, these are these spaces that have no idea how meaningful they become as gathering places and memories for the people in those neighborhoods. So matraca to these businesses that kind of take a chance on these streets, on these lonely streets.
I think I've been there before. I could be wrong. Do they serve pink pancakes? I mean, I know that the space is pink and beautiful and artwork, and it's a great feeling when you walk in there. Do they also serve, the pink pancakes?
Yes, they have all kinds of pancakes. That's their thing. It's like an insane amount of pancakes and really amazing drinks. You can get your matcha latte with a mazapan topping, this kind of stuff. It's fusion. It's great. And there's just a couple places like that. A place just opened up near me called Sabor that's very similar, that kind of like livens up a street. And so matracas to them.
Yes. Okay. Well, our next little meeting will have to be there. I would love some pink pancakes.
Let's do that. ¿Y tu basura esta semana? What goes in the trash?
My basura is also a complicated relationship with coffee. So coffee, I have tried many times to quit it, and I often succeed for a good amount of time. I was pretty successful, I would say 5 or 6 weeks of this year. It's starting to creep back in, but it's so immediately apparent how bad it is for me because I just get so anxious. I get so irritable. I also have stomach issues from it. There's literally nothing good other than the 30 minutes in which I'm savoring it and having it with a pastry usually. But the outcomes, there's nothing good about it. So I would say basura to coffee, and more importantly, basura to my inability to totally quit it.
It's the ritual of it all. It's so embedded in the culture. I can't tell you. I've already had 2 coffees today, so I'm the worst person to talk to about this.
It's just so good. Okay, what goes in la basura for you?
I can't with the driving in LA, everybody. I can't. Is it just me, folks? Is it just me? Every single week, I am, sometimes 3 days a week, I see an accident here. Everybody is driving like it's too fast, too furious. I am terrified so many times. I mean, yesterday, just so many times where people are just all over the place, really doing some dangerous stuff out here. I don't understand what's happening. Maybe I'm getting older and I didn't notice when I was younger because I also was driving like a maniac. No sé. But I'm at the point, maybe because I have a kid in the back, where I am on like edge now when I'm driving around this city. And it's hard because that's what you do here. You drive around. So basura to everybody that is out here risking their life for 2 seconds faster before the light turns red. Okay?
Yeah, no, it's a serious problem. I feel like it's on the rise. I think we could probably spend a little bit of time digging in to see if it's more than just our gut feeling. I think there's probably data around it, but people do not signal. The light turns red and you can expect 3 or 4 more cars. There's zero appreciation for pedestrians. I mean, it's a problem. We all need to get it together. So
It's a
yeah, I
problem.
agree. Basura to
And also,
that.
I want to say, just the last thing I'm going to say is that I've been coming across like 3 or 4 or 5 different areas where it's just poor transportation planning.
Yeah,
There's a
it's a
couple of
mess.
times where it's just not feasible to like get on the freeway, or the 110 where you have
Oh,
to
the
get across
110,
like
of course.
16 lanes to,
And
I
yeah,
mean, what is happening?
there's so many
Anyway,
places on the 110. That's definitely the worst. Anybody getting on the freeway, on the 110 freeway in Highland Park, that is
that's
risky. That is
risky.
risky.
I
So
feel for the tourists
risky.
who are coming here, like
Oh,
renting a car, trying to like let's go see Highland Park. Like, good luck.
good luck. Like, yeah, it's just, I'm like, ay, Dios mío, like for sure.
Yeah,
My
literally, Dios mío.
atheist ass is praying at those moments for sure.
Brenda, what gets your inspiración this week?
Well, I guess a couple things that I've been consuming lately. One is I saw Wuthering Heights. It was part of our Valentine's Day extravaganza. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I mean, I love all of the things that Emerald does. I mean, I really, really, really loved Promising Young Woman. Like that one was a movie that I like literally stood up and clapped in my own living room. And when I watched that one, didn't like Saltburn
Wow.
as much, but this one is good. This one is very good. I loved Wuthering Heights. It was so aesthetically pleasing. It's sexy, but not, I honestly thought it would be sexier. It wasn't quite as sexy as I was expecting, but it was very good and very entertaining and sad, but also just wildly beautiful to see. Really nice. You all should check it out if you haven't yet. That's one thing.
Yes.
The other thing, speaking of female filmmakers, I'm also reading a book. Give me a second because I want to make sure I tell the listeners what it is, just because I'm learning so much. And we like to learn, we're dorks here. So let me find this book. Okay, it's called Daughter of Daring, and it is by Mallory O'Meara. And it's supposed to be a book about the America's first stunt woman and movie star, but more than anything, it's really a book about the nature of filmmaking. And one of the biggest takeaways is just knowing that in the early days of filmmaking, there were way more women directing, writing, creating, becoming producers than there are now, like in terms of the percentage of the entire field. So it's just kind of crazy that early days there's more women behind the scenes than there are now.
Yes.
So y'all, it's a good read. It's kind of fun and it makes you feel really inspired by the crazy women that did these stunts, that wrote these things, that produced these things. And the other thing too is that many times a lot of these films were even part of a effort to promote women voting. So it's been a good read. So just a couple of recommendations that have been inspiring me lately.
Yes, I learned that fact at the Museum of the Moving Image, where one of the exhibits is all just the early female directors. And I was like, what is happening? This is amazing. Yeah. And you see it drop off as it goes in chronological order, which is really fascinating. I just want to repeat, you said Promising Young Woman
Yes.
is a good one. I just looked it up. I'm going to add it
please.
to
Oh
my
my
letterbox.
gosh, you're gonna
Add
clap.
it to my letterbox.
Let me double
And I have to
check.
say,
It is. Yeah,
Brenda has
2020.
exceptional taste in films. Exceptional. And so I
So
think
do you though. So
we're gonna need to do a top recommendations kind of mini segment one day.
I think we should totally do like a women directed extravaganza. Yeah, this
We
is
should.
another Emerald Fennell movie, Promising Young Woman. Super good.
Love it. Okay, my inspiración this week is, folks, there is a traveling Selena Quintanilla and Los Dinos exhibit at the Grammy Museum here in LA. And I have to say, it is a really small exhibit, like very small. It's the tiniest of exhibits, okay? But the love for this exhibit was out of control. First of all, I did not go to opening day. I went way later, okay? Way, way later. Showed up with my son and my whole family. We were rolling deep that day. And it is a 2-hour around the entire block wait to get into the museum, not to see the exhibit, to get into the Grammy Museum. And then you get into the Grammy Museum, it's another hour to get into this tiny space to see 3 or 4 things, right? And the people in the line, holy, it was a blast. People are dressed like Selena. Lots of people dress like her. There's people, I dressed my son in Selena attire. Everybody is out there celebrating, happy, excited. The line is a vibe. And then you get in there and you finally make it. These people have been waiting 3 hours. You get into this exhibit and there is silence from the crowd. The feeling is somber, solemn, beautiful, connected. Like people were so inspired. People are looking at, some people are crying. There was just the lore around Selena, the fandom is so profound, it means so much to so many people. Everyone brought the next generation of Selena fans. There were 9-year-olds, 8-year-olds dressed like Selena in there looking at her things. And so what inspired me wasn't the items. It wasn't Selena. What inspired me was the way that this community shows up and shows out for their heroes, for the legacy of these people. It was so beautiful. And I'm gonna be real with you guys. When I saw the line, I was like, maybe I'm out. But we waited and we made it work. And I'm so glad that I did. Really beautiful, like core memory for me with my family at this point.
That
Inspiración.
sounds so lovely. And what are the things that are exhibited?
So the main one is that there's her microphone that still has her lipstick on it. Really beautiful. There's her Grammy acceptance dress. And then her, the dress that she wears in the Amor Prohibido, a music video is there. There's also like the white outfit that she wears with the little bustier and the pants. And then there's a documentary about her. And of course, a couple of guitars from the band Los Dinos, things like that. So there's a few things, but it really was not what I expected it to be, a massive thing, because I went to like the Shakira one at the Grammy Museum that was like several rooms. I expected it to be a lot more, and it wasn't, and I was not disappointed, because the way people reacted to these items, there was just this real appreciation, like a deep rooted appreciation, almost as if people were transported back to their memories of watching her as children while they were seeing this. It was just that profound. It was beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you. That sounds phenomenal. I love it. So lots of things to be inspired by in this episode.
Yes. So thank you guys for being here with us, and saludos a la familia.
Yeah, ponte un suéter. Ciao. Tamarindo Podcast is hosted by Brenda Gonzalez and Delcy Sandoval. We're also the show's executive producers. Jeff Ricards wrote our theme song, and Sonoro Media's Karina Riverroll provides production support. If you like what you hear, please take a few minutes to rate and review Tamarindo Podcast or share this episode with a friend. It really helps us grow. To get in touch with us, find us at tamarindopodcast.com. Thank you for listening.